Welcome to Pride Professionals, the place where we talk to masters of their craft with Hofstra connections, and they share the essential elements that got them where they are now. Listen and learn from the best in their fields to gain insight on what it takes to be a pro. Today's guest is Harry Garcia, here on Pride Professionals.
My name is Leah Zoyce. As producer of the Heat Network's late-night comedy talk show Up All Night, I'm super interested in our guest today, who's an expert in the television industry. Have you ever wondered how, during a live sports game, the TV somehow always shows the most interesting parts of the action? Who decides what we're seeing, and when we're seeing it? The answer is the technical director of the broadcast. Today, we are going to be learning from a master of technical directing, Harry Garcia. But first, let's take a look at this expert in his element.
My name is Harold Garcia. I'm known as Harry. I am the technical director here at Citi Field for the New York Mets and have been for the last 30 years. At the New York Mets, I have a very unique position because during the game I am switching, but the switching I'm doing is not for the broadcast that you see at home. I'm doing the switching that is in the stadium. And so I am switching the game, but we're also entertaining the 50,000 fans that are here. It's very similar to TV in terms of the equipment I'm using. It's just that from a creative standpoint, we're switching between the live game to fan entertainment on the inning breaks when there's 3 outs. What does that mean? It means typically if you're home when they're going to commercial, we're engaging with more content, more cameras, and more features that require us to continually switch during those commercial breaks. The best way to describe what the technical director does is he's sitting on a headset with the director, taking commands from the director, and on cue, switching the sources on this panel that has graphics machines, playback machines, all these buttons. And I'm waiting for the command that's mine so I can execute a switch on that screen between sources. Many of the shows have multiple cameras, what we call a multicam shoot. And those switches between all of those cameras, the insertion of graphics and special effects, those are all being done by the technical director, which is my role. This is where you would see what you're connected to and what you're controlling. The green lights show me what I'm connected to, and the red lights show me what I'm not connected to. So what that means is I can build commands that say, play that file out of that machine on a button push. All different kinds of memories for building clip lists. I could be my own clip playback system here as well. There are so many tools that today's switchers have, and part of what makes TDing a uniqueness to each TD is his understanding of the tools and then how to use the tools, but that making a particular thing look a certain way is part of the tool set in the switchers. This is just one tool of the many tools that the switcher has, so you can quickly get to, and in the process of you being told, hey, ready camera 1, cut to camera 1, ready 2, take 2, stand by to wipe to replay, coming out of replay, I want to go to that special effect. So you can store those things in various locations so that the movement of how you get from point A to point B, or effect A, or complex piece A, is spread out through the real estate of all of this. It's a tool that allows you to build things. It's a tremendous distribution tool for sending signals to multiple locations. Opens up the possibilities for me of how to use the tool. And I think every TD, depending on the nature of where his career takes him, is always in that space of, wow, the tool can do all these things, but I need it to do this, and I have my own unique way of being able to get from, point A to point B. So I'm going to design my way of using this in this particular pattern because this is how I see it. That's why, like, switching today is such a dynamic process, right? Like, it's really dynamic, and your mind is constantly looking at the path to efficiency and speed and accuracy because you have all of this available to you. That's what a TD does. He switches the sources that are part of what is being recorded on a show. Even though I've been doing this for a long time, I feel like, in a very odd way, like this is like a beginning again because of all the new technologies. So it's an exciting time, and we're at an inflection point in technology again. And the next 5 to 10 years are going to be really spectacular on the advent of all the new things that are going to happen with this.
We're back with Technical Director Harry Garcia. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure to be here.
So Harry, what is the most important thing about technical directing in a production of any sorts? I hear some people call it live editing.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. Technical directing has lots of components from the post-production process involved in it, except that you're engaging with a piece of equipment that has a lot of different resources, is visually very overwhelming, and it takes time to understand the nature of how that tool and its resources leverage what you want to see visually on the screen. So it's like live editing, and it's also like learning how to play a musical instrument.
Right.
Just think of like what a pianist has to go to learn how to play the piano properly. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, it kind of becomes like a second nature or something of the sort to you, just to like tap around and stuff.
Yeah. After a while, you can see everything in your mind, and you're not thinking about the tool anymore, as referring to the switcher itself, but you're more thinking about what you're imagining, what you need the tool to do, and how you want to engage with those resources, because you're no longer short of how to access all those specialized tools.
Cool. And so how did you start working for the New York Mets?
Oh, that's a great story. I started in 1989, and it was the very beginning of the Mets converting from an analog application that turned on the lights on the scoreboard, because the scoreboards were essentially incandescent lights.
Oh, wow.
And so they went from an analog platform to the very first digital platform. And there was a computer-based industrial application that was used for robotics. And at that time, the generation of operators that were there were not too familiar with computers. And I was much younger at the time, and I got the opportunity to come in under the auspices of having a broader understanding on computers and computer technology.
Oh. Cool story. So what do you do to calm your nerves as technical director, especially in a high-stakes production like sports?
So that's another great question. I always get a little bit of a raise in my heart, even today, because the thing that becomes evident for me is that you want to put out what's called a clean show, one that's mistake-free. And I'm constantly going over steps in my mind as a production starts to make sure that at the pace that the director calls the show, that I know exactly where my hands are going and what I'm engaging in the switcher, so that visually I'm executing command for command those things that he's expecting to see. So to answer your question, it's preparation. What keeps me calm is preparation and understanding what I'm going to do very, very thoroughly in my mind.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good piece of advice for like just television in general, at least like in my experience, like knowing, like pretty much having all your bases covered to the most that you can, like helps if anything is to go wrong, on the fly or something like that. So
yeah, totally, because things are going to go wrong. And you want to know what went wrong.
Yeah.
And that understanding everything gives you a level of confidence, and that confidence becomes part of your persona when you're operating in the live television environment.
Yeah. Do you have any other hobbies?
Yeah, actually I do. You know, I started out when I was very young in music, and I studied the flute as a very young person, and I've continued my flute playing. You know, I'm a big fan of jazz and Latin jazz, and excuse me, even certain categories in popular music. So if I'm not, TDing, a lot of times I'll pick up my flute. Sometimes I'll play. People call me to play a small event or something that's not in the professional level, but I spend a lot of my free time doing that. And, I don't know that exercising is a hobby. It's more a requirement now, but I've always been an avid health person.
Nice. Very nice. So now let's take a look into the classroom with one of Harry's students. When we come back, we'll put Harry's skills to the test and see this Pride professional live in action.
Yeah, I do feel like Harry was a bit of a coach in a sense. Harry is one of the nicest people I've ever met, one of my favorite professors I've ever had. You know, he made class fun. It wasn't like you walked in and the teacher stands in the front of the room and drones on about nothing. It's Harry. You know, he walks in and, he kind of crip walks in, as he likes to say, and, he gets us working, he's laughing with us, he's messing around, but we're still learning stuff at the same time. He's still cracking jokes at us, but, we really are learning how the board works and how to improve as TDs. I've always thought that a good work environment is like one of the most important things when it comes to especially something like working in a studio with all these different people working so closely knit together. And I think Harry just, once you walk in, he knows what he's talking about. He knows how to teach you things. The lessons he teaches you are all important, but he finds different creative ways to make it hands-on and fun so that you're not just sitting there taking written tests and listening to boring lectures. Harry's been amazing for me. I took the class because I saw in the class description that Harry Garcia was the TD for the New York Mets and NYCFC at Citi Field, and I was like, oh my gosh, this would be a great guy to get in contact with if I ever did want to pursue becoming a TD. And after taking this class, I realized that that's what I wanted to do with my career. And just recently, I interviewed with a company called M2 Media that Harry actually introduced me to, and I'm going to be doing some stuff for them in the near future. So Harry has been incredible. Waking up to the text that says, Justin, I have an opportunity for you. Having somebody like Harry in your corner is invaluable. I remember during a show for Hofstra News Network, HNN, it was my first time live TDing on a board for a real show, and I completely froze up. I forgot how everything worked. All my muscle memory left my head. It was all gone, and I basically just shut down, and I had to be taken off, and I was told that you'll try again in 2 weeks, and I was devastated. I was mortified. It was awful. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. And I got a chance to work with Harry in the week before the next show. And, Harry kind of helped me, walk through some things and be like, okay, where'd you mess up? And, it was really helpful to work with somebody like Harry who knows so much and can kind of, help calm me down a little bit and give me some of that muscle memory repetition that, was really, ended up being really helpful, because I went back 2 weeks later and killed it. It was perfect. He really cares about each student individually. He doesn't just see you as a number, like in a big lecture class that you would have at a school that's got 100,000 students at it. He sees you as a human being, which is, I think, one of the most important things. Harry does talk a lot about how working a board is a lot like playing an instrument, and it really is. It's very similar. I grew up playing the piano a little bit. I kind of dropped that, and I've focused more of my time on learning how to play the trumpet and the bass guitar. And, it's all about, in the same way music is about finding that rhythm and just trying to stay in that rhythm and stay in that groove. TDing is the same way. Once you commit everything to muscle memory, it's just like playing a song from the top of the key, from the first measure and on, that's just the same as, taking black to camera one. It's very, very similar. Once you find that groove and you're in that rhythm, it's a really nice feeling. biggest takeaway from Harry's class was trying to go in with a good mindset is just a really important thing because, as I talked about with my mess up, he kind of taught me like, there's a show called Ted Lasso, and one of the big things they talk about is be a goldfish. Goldfish have a 2-second memory and then it's gone. If you screw up, just move to the next thing. Don't like sit there and think so hard about, oh my God, I screwed this up, I'm a mess. Just say, okay, I screwed up and move on. And I think that Harry taught me how to do that a lot and just how to, okay, you missed this camera, let's go get the next one. Let's go get the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And then, by the time that you've gotten the next 5 things right, you won't even remember that you screwed up that little thing.
So heartwarming. Your students really love you. So, what is the most rewarding thing about being a professor?
It's a great question. For me, it was difficult to learn how to do this. And I remember the barriers. And I promised myself that if I ever had the chance to teach people, I would eliminate those barriers to learning. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the biggest reward for me is to fundamentally share knowledge and not keep it a secret. Yeah. And those were things that existed many years ago. And I experienced some of that. And so for me to be here is kind of a tremendous victory in my mind against those experiences.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's probably the biggest reward for me.
I would take that. That's wonderful. So being a world-class technical director, you must have some pretty good reflexes. Do you do any exercises to keep them sharp?
Yeah. I play the flute and I play video games.
That should do it. That should do it. So if being a technical director requires quick reflexes and intuition, we are going to put them to the test. So we play the infamous game, Bop It.
All right.
Are you
Feel
scared?
the pressure.
Excited?
My heart rate's going up.
Okay, so whoever responds and reacts in time to the voice commands wins. So when you hear the command pass it, we're going to switch and go back and forth until someone basically fumbles first and loses.
All right,
So
let's
I
get
will
it on.
start. Here we are. Okay, ready?
Ready.
Okay. Do I just start?
Bop it. Twist it. Pull it. Twist it. Pass it. Pull it. Bop it. Pull it. Bop it. Pull it. Bop it. Pass it.
We did not want you to twist it.
Twist it.
Mess with me.
Bop it.
Uh-oh, it's getting faster.
I know.
Pull it. Bop it. Pull it. Twist it. Pass it.
Oh my goodness, this is intense.
I feel pressure.
Twist it. Oh! It's okay.
I'm supposed to win.
Bop it to start.
I feel like I should
supposed to
start
win.
being a technical director.
I
of
think
the
you
new-
have the skill. You beat me.
We'll do best.
Going to sleep.
We'll do best 2 out of 3 or something, or at least. So let's see.
It took too long.
Twist it. Pull it. Pull it. Twist it. Bop it. Pass it.
This is your redemption.
Here we go.
Bop it. Twist it. Pull it. Twist it. Pull it. Bop it. Pull it. Pass it.
God, oh my God.
Twist it. Twist it. Pull it. Twist it. Pull it. Pass it.
Here we go.
I was good back in my
Got
day.
pressure.
Bop it. Twist it. Pull it. Bop it. Twist it. Pull it. Pass it.
Oh my God, oh my God!
Pull it. Twist it. Twist it. Pull it. Bop it. Pull it. Pull it. Pass it.
Oh my
Here
God.
you
it. Twist it. Bop it. Pass it.
Oh my god, okay.
Twist it. Yow!
Oh! I got
I think
caught
she
up.
let me win. She let me win.
No. But we're tied.
The start.
We are tied, so we'll call it that. Harry,
Okay, tie is good.
thank you so much for showcasing your craft with us. It's going to sleep. And thank you for watching this week's episode of Pride Professionals. Don't forget to come back next time to learn from another master of their craft. Thank you.